Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Fabian here.
Derek here.
Wow.
Quite a night.
Getting up at 3 a.m. and finding a slew of emails. Dave Chappelle. First, it's funny. I got up and I looked at this and it's like Dave Chappelle was tackled to the ground at the Hollywood Bowl. And then I started looking further and it's like Dennis started sending notes saying, I just talked to people in the LAPD and the guy had a gun and
It was a fake
knife.
gun.
Nonetheless.
Oh, like a small bayonet, yeah.
Yeah.
With a knife.
Right.
attached.
Pointed a gun at Dave Chappelle as he jumped on stage. I mean, first of all, that guy's lucky he didn't get shot and killed.
Absolutely.
And secondly, how on earth did this guy get past the metal detectors at the Hollywood Bowl?
That's a good question.
We have to
it's
explain
not,
to-
I don't think it's a real gun, though.
It's not. It's a
toy
replica.
game.
It's a replica, but you got to explain to people who don't live in LA. The Hollywood Bowl has serious security. Getting
Right.
into the
Or so
Hollywood
it
Bowl
seems.
involves
Or
looking
so it
through your
seemed.
purse. There's
Right.
metal detectors. I mean, it's not an easy
So how
joint to
does-
get into, even though it's an
Well,
amphitheater.
apparently it is, actually.
Yeah, this is what's shocking to me is that this guy came in with a bayonet.
Shocking. And by the way, even though it's a fake, and it is a replica,
Right.
I'm assuming there's metal in it.
I don't know.
And-
I mean,
and
the knife itself has metal for
and
sure.
the knife has metal.
Even
Right.
if not.
How did they get past? And how did the guy get on stage?
Well, you see that we have the video up on our website, and you can see him. He doesn't come from the side. He hops the stage. Like he's like down in the front row somewhere. That's what I saw. He hops the stage.
Yeah.
Security was asleep at the wheel per usual. What else is new? And I'm serious. Like when it comes to security in LA or just at events, security sucks. And even Dave Chappelle, he chastised the Hollywood Bowl security kind of jokingly, but he's like, yeah, thanks for you guys for letting this happen kind of thing.
The front of the Hollywood Bowl, you've been there. They're garden boxes. Those are usually the yuppiest of the yuppie
Right.
people. It's not
And-
like a concert crush at a like heavy metal concert
Right.
where
Anybody
there's a
can
lot
get
of
in.
like people
Anybody can
standing
get
out
in,
there.
right.
And by the way, when
hollering.
you're saying the yuppiest of the yuppiest, what you mean is it cost a damn fortune
The
to
richest.
get those boxes.
Yeah.
So how does
Who's in
this
a garden
guy?
box?
How does this guy meander up and then get on the stage
Right.
and nobody notices?
No, people were asleep at the wheel, and it's such a surreal thing because Dave Chappelle handled it well. He made light of it obviously afterward. The guy got what I would call what he deserved. He got his ass whooped and he got stomped out. We have the video of him
Got his arm broken.
Yeah, he looks like somebody he looks like a cartoon character. Like it looks like Wile E. Coyote or something afterward. He's all
It's
twisted
smart.
and mangled. Rightly so, in my opinion. But this could have been bad.
This could have been.
It could have been terrible.
It could have been fatal.
Fatal,
If if this was a real gun, I mean, first of all, Dave got slammed to the ground.
He did.
He ran
I
at
mean,
him with full speed, like he was
this-
doing a tackling
This
drill.
wasn't like a minor thing. He got slammed to the ground.
Yeah.
And
And he's not a young man anymore.
And he's also he's not a skinny guy either. Dave Chappelle's like a hefty individual.
did you? I don't.
He used to be very skinny.
When you listen to it, you hear that's the thud.
Yeah, it was
you
a
actually
heavy
hear him hit.
Yeah, he tackled him well.
So
And then apparently he got stomped by Busta Rhymes
so he tackles him. The guy immediately gets. It's a young guy, by the way. Some 23-year-old. I don't know who it is, but
by the way, he's arrested for assault with a deadly weapon.
Yes, and he goes running backstage, and not just Dave's personal security team, because I don't think that was Hollywood Bowl security.
Jamie Foxx.
It was Jamie Foxx and his entourage. He had a ton of buddies there. This was a big Netflix comedy event. Chris Rock was also there, and Busta Rhymes was back there too, and everybody apparently was getting some licks in. I think Dave even might have. I don't know if he got some licks in himself. If I wouldn't blame him if he did, but like
he was out of breath though.
He was out of breath.
It was a serious event for Dave because he gets up there and he composes himself, says a few sort of like jokes. He's got the
Can you
presence of mind,
imagine
but he
just-
was hit.
Yeah, he was really hit.
Yeah, he was rocked.
So now this is unbelievable. I mean that Chris Rock was there.
Yeah,
and
he makes the Will Smith joke,
and
which
we-
is just gold.
We don't have the
Beautiful.
audio of this, unfortunately, but it's
out there. It's on Twitter.
Oh, we did? Because I didn't see it this morning.
We don't have it, but it's on Twitter. We could easily embed it if we want to. It's there.
You should tell people to comment. You guys are
So
talking
basically,
about the
afterward, Chris and Dave get on stage. Or they're at the front of the stage together, and Chris says, was that Will Smith?"
That's
And it's
hysterical.
just so funny.
That's hysterical.
So you know what though? It kind of taking it seriously though. Like, Will Smith. The fact that he was able to get up there and smack Chris Rock and it just kind of went unchecked in the moment. You know what I mean? Like this
made sense though because he's Will Smith.
Right. Well, yeah, but the thing is, people were worried about this, that this would set a precedent and a standard. You heard all these comedians were worried about this, people rushing the stage and attacking them. And here is Dave Chappelle getting bum rushed by some rando out in the street. And like, to your point, Will Smith got away with it because he's Will Smith. Some rando Joe Schmo on the street gets stomped out. Something in the middle should happen to Will Smith, in my opinion. Something in the middle should have happened.
I was a naysayer. I said this was a one-off event. I didn't think it would spawn any attacks on stage, but maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe now people feel like they could take a shot at a comedian as big as Dave Chappelle.
You know, it's really true.
In the Hollywood Bowl.
Now,
Right,
we
of
don't
all
know what
places.
this guy's motivation was. I don't know that he was, animated by Will Smith, but it's a fair point.
Yeah.
Now, listen, this is the aftermath. I want to kind of get into one of Dave's jokes at the end.
Yeah, it was funny.
This is what happened immediately after.
Hey, my man, he's a bitch ass. Get that guy the fuck out of here. We gotta have some fun. Hollywood Bowl, you owe me 10 minutes because your security caught me slipping. Clean that mess up. Get that out of here. Don't do this on the stage. Shout out to Jamie Foxx, by the way. Jamie, where you at? Jamie, hold up. Whenever you're in trouble, Jamie Foxx would show up in a sheriff's hat. Turn the mic up. Nigga, I thought that was part of the show. I don't know what the fuck is... I grabbed the back of that nigga's head. His hair was spongy, absorbent. Listen, I just want to say, man, I've had an incredible time. This man is an absolute genius. We got to make sure we protect him at all times, man. I'm back there. I've been doing this 35 years. I just stomped the backstage. Always wanted to do that.
Well, in addition to that, he also said, I think it was before all this, he said, it was a trans man. That's catching a lot of backlash online right now, of course. But look, Dave Chappelle is leaning into the whole trans controversy. He did a full special about it, frankly, on Netflix. And here he is again with another Netflix-sponsored event, making a trans joke. And I'll be honest, it was funny. It's hilarious because it's like he knows the trans community kind of hates him, and he was just kind of having some fun.
I don't know.
This is not going to cool things down. It's not going to cool things down if the guy did have motivations like that.
And by the way, Charles was at the concert on Saturday night. He said that Dave said, I said I would stop telling trans jokes. And he said, well, that was for TV.
Right.
And so he's clearly leaning into this.
Yeah.
And
Dave Chappelle doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
I like the fact that he doesn't care, frankly. Anyway.
So that is Dave Chappelle. That was really crazy.
Yeah, it's the biggest news of the day by far.
And now we got to find out how are they, after Astroworld and everything else, how are they protecting people at concerts?
Private security at these big venues. So there needs to be some kind of, I don't know about reform, but something needs to happen. Like they need maybe a brush up on their training or something because this is insane.
I'm not sure you can always stop a crazy individual who is determined to do something.
I don't understand
you can arm the guards and sit them like sentries at a comedy show.
Right.
You can say that, but number one, I thought metal detectors work for this. Number two, it's one thing to say, okay, yeah, maybe you can slip through metal detector. How do you jump on stage? How do you get through all the boxes and jump on stage and do that when there is security there?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
How do we see streakers at football games? I mean, things that people are kind of crazed.
They
sometimes,
are.
and they're very hard to stop one person.
Yeah,
but a football field is 100 yards.
Fair enough. This is a smaller venue.
This is a stage. And they have people lining the stage protecting the talent.
Or so we thought, apparently.
So we thought. Okay, Johnny Depp. You guys probably don't even know this. He showed up for court a few minutes ago. We're doing this in the morning here on Wednesday. There were about 50 women outside who were showing their support for Johnny Depp as he walked into the courtroom. Okay. I think that's interesting.
That's not surprising at all. This has been going on this entire trial.
I think it's just interesting.
It's fascinating. So I've read a lot about this. There are now scores of women who stand in support and in solidarity with Johnny Depp, notwithstanding all these allegations that are now going to sort of be come out again on Amber Heard's side of the testimony. Right. And it's very strange in the wake of the Me Too movement to have someone who is an accused wife beater. Right. And he's actually been found to.
What do you mean accused?
That's been found to be.
What do you mean accused?
He's been accused of being a wife beater. It was found to be substantially true in the London case.
Well, the London case didn't involve her. It was a tabloid. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's what he's accused of.
Well,
I'm not saying it's true.
Accused is typically a criminal case.
Okay, he's allegedly.
He definitely has been accused. I mean, Amber Heard has accused.
He's saying the word accused sounds criminal. I didn't mean it criminally.
But you understand what I mean.
Not really, but he has been accused. Like Amber Heard has accused him.
I was using it in the colloquial sense, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
He is allegedly by
she says he.
She says it. She's
Here's the thing.
And I'm not trying to. That's not taking a side. I'm just saying. I think we got to be careful the way we describe things. That when somebody makes an allegation. It's one thing if they file a lawsuit. It's one thing if there's a police report. It's one thing if they get criminally charged. Sure. But I think distinguishing that is important.
What do you mean? But accused is the same thing as alleged, right? We use it back and forth here all the time.
It's different. I mean, the word accused is typically associated with a criminal case.
I didn't know that, but okay.
But anyway,
in any case, with the women here, I'm surprised that you guys are surprised, because it makes me think that you think that, oh, like everyone's just blindly following the, believe all women type of thing. That's not true. People are not stupid. Like people know the nuance, and people have been.
Now though the pendulum has moved. We came from the Me Too movement where it's believe victims at their word.
Derek's right.
And now the pendulum has moved. Now you are sort of looking at the nuance of the case, and that is something that is within the past year, I would say.
I would agree with you that at first people did believe Amber Heard, but like we have not been covering all the nitty gritty details between 2017 and now. But there have been so many audio leaks of Amber Heard. All the audio leaks that we're hearing in court now have been public, and they've been surfaced online for like 2 or 3 years now at this point. People knew about that. There's been this huge Justice for Johnny movement. And look, I mean, yesterday, Amber Heard had her first crack to kind of defend herself, and her team put their own forensic psychologist on the stand. I got to be honest with you, I was watching her testimony. It was not nearly as clean or as articulate as the first woman, Dr. I think Shannon Curry is her name. This woman, Dr. Deborah Dawn Hughes, Dr. Dawn Hughes. It was a mess because she was like constantly reading from her notes. Johnny's team kept objecting. It was a mess. Like, and Amber's team could not properly just question her because there were so many interruptions.
But I will say this. I think that Amber's psychologist scored a few points, also had a problem. She scored a few points by talking about PTSD and talking about all that. I think where she hurt herself in terms of credibility is when she came out and she said, it's true Amber may have attacked Johnny from time to time.
Yeah, she admitted that.
In a mild way. She used the word mild. I mean,
she said that Amber punched Johnny in the face only after Johnny had apparently pushed her or something like that.
She said it was mild. That was not mild. I mean, there's no version of what she did that you would really characterize as mild.
No, for sure. And the other thing that I sort of like was cringing at when the doctor was speaking, and her team wanted the doctor to lay all this stuff out. The doctor said, I spoke with Amber Heard. I evaluated her over the course of 29 hours. And then the doctor listed everything Amber had told her that Johnny had allegedly done, but she was sort of listing it as facts. Like he did a cavity search on her for cocaine once. Like he stuck a bottle in her vagina one time. He beat her. He did this. She was laying it all out as fact, and it was just quite clear. I'm like, you clearly have a bias here. Like you're not even trying to hedge. Like you're just blatantly laying every nasty thing out you can at this point. And her team wanted all that. Like lay it all out. And we wrote a story about it because it was like these were damning claims, but like it was a lot of hearsay. It was all hearsay.
Well, fair enough.
I'm surprised Johnny's team did not object once. They just kind of let her speak up there.
Because there's certain exceptions when you're talking to a doctor. The reason they're like filtering those allegations through the doctor is that the doctor has more credibility than maybe Amber Heard standing on the stand and saying Johnny gave me a
How does the doctor have more credibility? She's literally just reciting what Amber told her. That
not precisely. Not precisely. So a doctor is evaluating the veracity of what the person is telling them. The doctor is saying, I'm going to make a medical diagnosis based on what the person is telling me, and is there anything to substantiate the allegations towards Johnny Depp? So the doctor, who is supposedly more independent than Amber Heard, who has an axe to grind with Johnny Depp, may have more credibility.
That's all true. But this whole case is going to come down to the whole case is going to come down to Amber's testimony, which is probably
she's taking the stand today. Probably in the next hour or so.
So it seems to me that Johnny's made his case, and now the issue made it well.
Yeah.
And now the issue is, can Amber rebut some of that and get the jury on her side? Now, we don't know how the jury feels. We certainly know how the public feels.
Yeah.
And I think this is make or break for Amber Heard.
I agree, but the question shouldn't be who's a better actor. Johnny Depp is a tremendous actor. Amber Heard is an actress who has some credibility. She's an actress, but she's not doesn't have the stature of Johnny Depp. And the question should be, did these things occur? And we're sitting there listening to the testimony of two actors, and I just don't want it to come down to who cried better on the stand, who had a more believable.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth. Amber Heard yesterday was quote unquote fighting back tears. Let's just put it in quotes. She was fighting back tears and like tearing up at her table. When she gets on the stand today, I'm expecting waterworks. I'm expecting a lot of emotion. I'm expecting all that. Johnny Depp didn't do that. He was just kind of stone-faced, kind of just recounting what he says happened to him. But I'm expecting Amber Heard to start crying, and we will see if because people look.
It's whether it feels authentic.
Yes.
But it could be authentic and feel inauthentic.
But honestly,
that's a possibility.
I
don't know.
The jury is not going to decide this on who cries the most.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I really am. The jury's going to decide this. Again, I hate to say it, and I know this sounds ridiculous. To me, that poop is really important. No, I'm actually really being serious.
The straight poop.
I'm really serious because Amber Heard's, and I think this is the weakness, and it's not even so much the physical attack. This is a case of credibility, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know what they always say if somebody's caught in a lie in the stand, Derek? If you lied about this,
Yeah,
what else
are you
lying
about? That's the whole point
and
of
that's
cross-examining
the
a
way
witness.
you destroy credibility. Johnny didn't have that happen to him, right? I mean, there was
Not so
nothing.
far.
Johnny didn't get caught in a lie
Not
when he was
yet.
on set. Well, he's
Well, you're right. He's done. He's done.
He's done.
Crossed-
Yeah, he had some
So-
unflattering things said about
Right,
him,
but he
but
owned
he
up to it.
caught
he
in the
didn't
same
get
way.
caught in a lie.
That's true.
And that's important. Now, if Amber can get off the stand, get on and off the stand without lying or without being caught in one, then it's more even Steven. She's got a problem with this poop because it's absurd to think, and she has staked out this position. I know this through her lawyers, that she has staked out the position that the poop was from the dog.
Yeah.
The dog is like 3 pounds or 4 pounds. It is a tiny dog.
Yeah.
The poop is as big as the dog. It's not dog
And
poop.
even Johnny's, I think
But
it's,
if she says that,
Right.
and if she tries to maintain that, it's
if she,
going to
if
look.
she doubles down on the stand, because look, Johnny's driver or one of his security guards who drove Amber to Coachella that following day,
Right.
He was as clear cut and direct as possible. He's like, yeah, Amber told me it was a practical joke gone wrong. That's what he says, and it's like, yeah, it obviously was. Like,
Well,
what-
it wasn't. Johnny says it was not a practical joke. Johnny says
Well,
it was
the point
revenge.
is that it was human.
revenge.
That's the thing. The guy testified.
Right.
Yeah, she told me that it was a human did it. It was a practical joke gone wrong. And if Amber doubles down and tries to lie again about this, you're right. It is going to hurt her credibility.
To be fair, and Amber's lawyers have been effective about this. Every time they trot out a security guard, someone who
Right.
was around, a housekeeper, they always ask the first question: "Who pays you?"
Right.
Who pays you?
Sure. But that
Johnny
does-
Depp. Do you still work for Johnny Depp? Sure do.
But that's never been lost
that's
on
not-
people, though.
Well, but that is to me
Guys,
devastating to
but
all
let-
the testimony of these people who are saying, Amber Heard told me this, and
But let's-
I didn't notice
let-
anything. I never saw them get physical.
Let's say
It's hard to take their testimony.
Let's just say this: they don't believe the security guard.
Mm-hmm.
What they see in front of them, and we've blurred it in the site, and we've seen the picture.
Yeah.
You see poop,
It's a big one.
and it's a big one. And but again, I know
The
it's
blur we put over it is a smear.
I-
It's a foot.
I know it's
you
funny
have small dogs, so you've seen small dog poop.
You're an
No, I'm
expert in
serious.
this.
every morning,
Yeah.
Oh man.
and it's not.
And it's little nugs.
It kind of
a good way to put
Fabian,
it. That's a good way
Fabian,
to
it
put
kind of is. Anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I do
I'm
think
very curious to see how
come
Amber
to-
does today and just in the next week or so, because this is going to make or break her case.
This is the telltale poop, like the glove don't fit. This is the moment for Harvey.
If the shit don't fit, then you must quit or something like that.
glove.
Yeah, there we go.
just
Right.
real quick on the Supreme Court.
Oh man.
Boy, this leak, it's just unbelievable. I mean,
You know what's interesting? I don't mean to interrupt you, but like the leak, I can't tell who's more angry about it because Republicans and conservatives are outraged about it because and then I don't know if Democrats or left-leaning people are upset about it, but like, should they be upset about it? Just like the fact that it leaked at all?
It's
like,
an outrageous breach
It
of trust.
really
I had
is.
several friends who were clerks on the Supreme Court, and they don't even talk about stories of the court. The confidence that you're supposed to keep everything that happens within those walls is such that you can't even talk to your friends.
it's a
and family
sacred.
about
It's
it.
a sacred place.
To leak a draft opinion
It's-
could be so confusing
so
to the public.
sho-
It is so
it is so
shameful.
shocking.
It is shocking. And
Yeah.
these are dorks. These aren't like risk takers usually. It's shocking that someone
Let me
would
ask
do
you
this.
this: who do you think linked it? Would you think it was one of the clerks for one of the liberal justices? I think it was because
Yeah.
look at all these protests. I mean, like there was a ton of LAPD footage from last night of like LAPD like beating on people and all these pro-abortionist demonstrators out there like clashing with cops. Like it just sparked outrage across the country, and I think liberal justices or somebody on their team were the ones who leaked
well,
this.
a justice did not leak.
Well,
A justice definitely
a
did not leak
justice
it.
did not leak. This is
I've heard
probably
theories that a
it's
conservative.
Well, look, I mean,
Because
there
they want to corner them to actually overturn Roe v.
There-
Wade, and they said now it's out there. Now you got to.
there are a lot of theories. One is it's probably one theory is that it is a law clerk from one of the dissenting justices.
Yes,
That's a theory.
that makes sense to me.
The other is there's another theory that it could be a conservative justice, a conservative law clerk. I don't really understand that one because it seems to me that the motivation, if it's a liberal law clerk, the motivation is
Public pressure.
Look at the way they're saying it so that maybe they'll be embarrassed by the public's reaction to it and back off those strong language.
Right.
So I don't know. That makes a lot more sense. But there's another theory, and I was talking to Jason, our other lawyer, about this today. And I don't know the answer to this. Can they look at stuff? Can a clerk work at home? I mean, I know it's computerized. Can a clerk look at a draft of something and work on it at home, or do they require you to do it at the Supreme Court?
The answer from my experience with friends is that they do work on it at home.
Well, if they work on it,
COVID might have been even more restrictive to come into the court, so they would have to work from home.
So there's another theory, and the other theory is this. A spouse looks at it and says, screw them.
A George Conway type.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then takes matters into their own hands.
Right. And that the clerk doesn't even know it.
That's true.
What a violation. What a violation by a spouse.
Do you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I don't think that's a
But
terrible
don't you think that this sort of don't you think that this
laptop?
potential, because it's a potential decision, it hasn't been set in stone yet. It could change. It could change.
Fabian, what's going to change may be the language.
Right.
The result is not going to change.
You don't think so?
Only because
it might be softened, but I don't think
and you know, and I was talking to Jason again about this, and they were saying, you know, because Gorsuch and Kavanaugh both certainly strongly intimated that they wouldn't overturn Roe when they were confirmed.
Right.
They made
Even Coney Barrett said,
Less
I think
so,
she
but-
said it was settled law. A lot of them said it was settled law.
Well, it is settled law.
It is.
That's
People
a
are
fact.
sending around Alito's comments during his confirmation because he drafted the opinion and he said it's settled precedent. People rely on it. That's the argument in favor of upholding a precedent that you don't agree with. Is that people rely on it.
Look, I don't know. I just think that this is it's just I keep getting back to this leak, and it's just unbelievable that this happened.
It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. Like to become a Supreme Court clerk, and if it's a clerk who leaked it, it is beyond the pale. And they're going to do an investigation. It won't take that long because the Supreme Court, they each have about 3 or 4 clerks. I mean, there's not that many. There's 9 justices. There's maybe 36 clerks.
But how are they going?
Relatively small.
Well,
You question all of them.
Everybody's going to say no.
Everyone's going to say no, but they're going to have like there's data fingerprints about who worked on it at home and so forth. Where the document got out of the building is going to be easy to track down, and maybe you're right. It'll be hard to discover which spouse took it. Maybe they did it without if a spouse took it.
Right.
That said, I think they will come to some sort of conclusion. I do.
Can I ask you why? So, okay, fine. The leak is outrageous. That we can all agree on. But like, what about the actual implications of it being overturned? What do you think what kind of door does that open up?
Here's
I know I read some of the languages. I've seen some people say this could potentially. This is a slippery slope.
Yeah, well, it's not even slippery. Here's the problem. If they would have overturned Roe. And look, I mean, I don't know how else they could do it if they said, look, it was rooted in, Mayo Clinic research and not law. I don't know how they could have done it. But the way they did it by saying that it is not in the Constitution, the right to an abortion,
right,
and it's not steeped in tradition in America. If that's their standard, and that is their standard for overturning a 50-year-old precedent that was ratified and re-ratified and re-ratified. If that's their standard,
it's
then
dangerous.
Gay marriage comes up, and they say,
"So a lot of things that aren't rooted."
So all of these personal decision things.
Hold on, I'm just beginning.
Okay.
Gay marriage comes up, and they say, "Well, that's certainly not rooted in American tradition because it's recent." That goes out the window. Then they talk about birth control, contraception. And they say, well, that's not in the Constitution.
No more condoms? Oh, God, that'd be awful.
A sodomy, what 2 people do in the privacy of their home.
Right.
That was a big issue. It was illegal. That's not in the Constitution.
Right.
And
it opens the door to
opens
a lot of other big precedents.
And then the biggest issue, which is the umbrella to all of this, which is privacy. That word is not in the Constitution.
Right.
Privacy is not in the Constitution. But
it is afforded to us, obviously.
It is afforded. There's a theory about it. I'm going to use a technical word. Penumbra. That there is what
does that mean?
The Supreme Court said
the halo of rights that you have that aren't written.
And that's how they create
innumerable rights. Is that what it is, or no? Is that not the right?
They're not numerated. So yes, they just exist.
That's how the Supreme Court created the right of privacy. It was done
This is a nice little history lesson here, by the way. This is cool.
It's fascinating. Well, this is
it opens that. It doesn't open the door. It blows the door wide open.
Yes, but this highlights what a lot of people have the problem with activist justices, right? Because if you have something called a penumbra that is undefined and not written, a lot of people say, well, you can throw anything in there. Then we don't really have a constitution, and that's the problem that conservatives are trying to strike at. They're saying, look, let's look at the words there. There's no word privacy. There's certainly no right to an abortion that the founders were thinking of. How can we do this? Let's leave it to the states and the people to decide, and then you'll have 50 states that sort of,
everyone has their own rule.
You could have a state that allows abortion at 9 months. You could have a state that doesn't allow abortion upon conception. So we don't know where it will lead, but the result feels very icky because this precedent has been around for 50 years. People have really relied on it. Harvey lived pre-Roe when there were women in back alleys with hangers. It's really, really dangerous to have a society that absolutely.
I think in the movie
forbids
Revolutionary Road with Leo and Kate Winslet back in the mid 2000s, they depicted that exact thing with Kate Winslet. I think she got like pregnant, and there's a scene in the movie where she does the whole coat hanger.
No, I mean
it was a real thing. It was a real thing, man.
It was
very dangerous.
Listen, I was in law school when Roe was decided, and I remember the next day, my law professor came in and we talked about Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, real time.
But it was a really interesting. I remember that lecture because he had issues with the way it was constructed, even though he agreed with the result.
That's right. That's how I feel about Roe.
But
it's
you know
not
what?
elegant. It is a hard to defend opinion. It's not very well written.
And I believe Ruth Bader Ginsburg said the same thing.
She did.
And
it's an unsturdy precedent because it's not very well reasoned, but it's a good result in my mind.
Right.
And that's
in my mind.
That's hard. It's constitutionally
like a means
hard.
to an end sort of thing, or like
it's the way we should sort of conduct our society. But it's hard to defend constitutionally.
We shouldn't be policing women and what they want to do with that. To me isn't just the general philosophy of that. Like, we need to, you can't do this because what? Like, a woman can do whatever she wants to do. It has nothing to do with.
But see, that's not true, and that's one of the fallacies here.
Okay.
That when people say, well, no, it's my choice, the Supreme Court has said, here's what you can do and here's what you can't. So the Supreme Court has said, it's not your body, your choice, because here are the rules that we're setting out. First trimester, second trimester, third trimester. It's just those rules have an element of humanity in them, and that the Supreme Court is now about to take that humanity away. Yeah. But there's always been government rules.
There's benchmarks.
Yeah, after viability, they can restrict it in some ways.
I got it.
It's just pre-viability.
It's not just a free-for-all. Like you're 9 months pregnant.
No.
But Alito is like, what are 9 white guys sitting on the court drawing these lines about viability? It has always seemed strange to jurists and to law students when you read this because it's really in the weeds of what it is.
Yeah.
But how is a fetus growing?
Yeah.
These are 9 justices. I didn't study law.
Right, but
I didn't study medicine.
What's interesting is you say 9 guys. Here's the problem with that. Now there are 2 women on the. Well, there are. Kagan and Sotomayor.
No, there's more than that. There's Amy Coney Barrett.
No, I'm not talking
about the liberals.
I'm talking about the liberals.
Yeah.
That if it's like, why are 9 guys saying it? Well, you've got 2 women explaining this is wrong to do.
Yes, so absolutely. And that dissent is going to be something else.
The dissent's going to be biting.
Fiery.
Well, and
it's going to be sad. Oh, it's going to be sad.
And
this
I wish
moment
Joe
will be very
Biden
sad
would have.
for them.
I wish Joe Biden would not have said what he said yesterday. Did you see this?
He said something.
You have a right. It's basically a right to abort a child. He said child. He should not have said child.
No, because that's fodder for the right wing.
Plays into the wrong argument.
It's already become fodder.
Yeah. Joe Biden's a child killer. Like,
it's a really sad note to end on, right, Harvey? I mean, we talked about this back when we thought, remember the Texas law? And we talked about it, and we were like, this is the harbinger of this. And here it is. Yeah. This is all accelerated. I didn't think, you never think you'd see the day a 50-year-old precedent that is this important would be overturned directly.
And the way they did it, and what now is to come after that, is really.
So before we end, are you saying that if they just tweak the language, that would make you feel a little better, or do you think the fact that they're overturning it in general is problematic?
So Roberts
for other liberties that we, stuff like that. That's
what a lot of people were thinking was that Roberts may have affirmed the Mississippi law without or upheld it
without directly
overturning Roe, and that's been one of the debates in the court. That's not the way this decision went. They've got 5 votes saying we're overturning Roe in strong language. I don't know that Roberts embraced that. And there is a lot of horse trading that goes on to get a majority on the Supreme Court. This is why drafts get circulated, get rewritten.
There's lobbying going on.
They cobbled things. Alito cobbled things together
Sure.
to get the majority by getting certain people's views in there.
And it'll have to be softened, and people will have their views in there.
Well,
but
we'll see.
Harvey's 100% right. When you overturn Roe and attack the reasoning of Roe, all of these other cases that hinged,
It's like
hinged on the same reasoning,
the underpinning of the decision.
they become
right?
vulnerable. They
Yeah.
become vulnerable.
Just
He's
by
right.
the
I mean, if you
nature-
look at Roe, it relies on Griswold. Well, now he said that that's bad. He said Roe reached the wrong result relying on Griswold. Griswold is the case about contraception. Now does someone challenge contraception? The dominoes start falling.
And all of these other things. It's really
It's dicey, man.
I remember when I was in law school, there was always this argument about are you a strict constructionist or not? And I always thought, well, the strict constructionists are never really going to take over the Supreme Court. Well, they have.
It's here.
There you go. See you Friday.
See ya.